The arrest of Prince Andrew has sent shockwaves through the British royal family, but what does it mean for his daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie? These two women have already lived much of their lives in the long shadow cast by their father's controversies. Now, with the former prince under investigation and facing legal scrutiny, their roles, public standing, and personal journeys may be entering one of the most defining chapters of their lives. This is a story about duty, identity, resilience, and the growing independence of two royal women navigating a moment that could reshape their futures. To understand where Beatrice and Eugenie stand today, it helps to begin with who they are and how they have carved out their own identities within, and outside, the monarchy. Princess Beatrice, the elder of the two, is known for her strategic mind and professional career. Educated at Goldsmiths, University of London, and later at Columbia University, Beatrice has worked in tech, startups, and nonprofits. She has a reputation for being hardworking, thoughtful, and fiercely private about her personal life even as she fulfills royal duties. Her marriage to Edoardo Mapelli-Mozzi and the birth of their daughter brought her into a new phase of family life that increasingly balances traditional royal commitments with broader personal goals. Princess Eugenie, on the other hand, has been equally defined by her independence. An art gallery director by training, she's also worked with charities focused on children and healthcare. Eugenie has been particularly open about her experiences with scoliosis and surgery, turning her own journey into advocacy for others. Both sisters have demonstrated a blend of royal duty and personal ambition, a combination that has earned them admiration from many in the public. Yet even with their accomplishments, their father's controversies have loomed large. The downfall of Prince Andrew, marked by public criticism and legal entanglements, has been a defining backdrop throughout much of Beatrice and Eugenie's adult lives. At times, they have been asked to speak out, to defend, or to navigate the headlines, a position no one wants to be in. Now, with the former prince's arrest on suspicion of misconduct in public office, the spotlight has shifted again, and many now wonder, what will this mean for the princesses? First, it's important to understand that Beatrice and Eugenie have already been largely distanced from official royal duties for several years. Unlike senior working royals, they were not full-time representatives of the monarchy even before the arrest. They stepped away from institutional duties after the controversies involving their father intensified, with their public roles becoming more selective and focused on personal projects. This means they were already operating in a hybrid space, part of the royal family, but increasingly self-directed in their careers and causes. Because of this, one of the most likely outcomes is continued independence. Beatrice and Eugenie may continue to define themselves primarily through their work, their families, and the causes they champion, rather than through formal royal duties tied directly to Buckingham Palace or Kensington Palace. Their arrest of their father might not dramatically alter that trajectory. If anything, it may reinforce their desire to build identities that are resilient and separate from his legacy. In many ways, this situation could accelerate a long-standing trend within the monarchy, the shift toward a smaller, more public-facing working royal corps, with extended family members carving out their own paths. This approach has already been hinted at under King Charles III's stewardship, with a focus on a slimmed-down monarchy where the limited institutional support is reserved for the Prince and Princess of Wales and their immediate circle. Beatrice and Eugenie, having already been practicing a degree of autonomy, are well positioned for this reality. Another important aspect is public perception. The British public tends to view Beatrice and Eugenie more sympathetically than their father. Over the years, they have demonstrated warmth, humor, and duty in ways that have resonated even with critics of the monarchy. They've attended engagements, supported charities, and participated in moments of national significance without courting controversy. As a result, they enjoy a degree of goodwill that could buffer them against the fallout from Andrew's legal troubles. However, this doesn't mean there will be no challenges. The arrest inevitably raises questions about family loyalty, personal values, and the emotional toll of such a situation. Beatrice and Eugenie will likely face difficult decisions about how publicly they address their father's situation, whether to comment, stay silent, or advocate for privacy and due process. Each choice carries implications. Speaking out too forcefully could be seen as undermining family unity, while saying too little may be interpreted as indifference. One possibility is that they will opt for quiet dignity. In previous moments of royal tension, including scandals involving other family members, members of the royal family often choose restraint, emphasizing respect for legal processes and private emotion. Beatrice and Eugenie have both, at various times, shown a preference for thoughtful, measured responses rather than dramatic public statements. That approach may serve them well now, allowing them to maintain personal integrity without fueling media speculation. Another likely direction is further focus on advocacy and personal work. Both princesses have meaningful engagements beyond the royal circuit, Beatrice with digital innovation, entrepreneurship, and children's causes, Eugenie with health advocacy and art. Amplifying these efforts could help reinforce their identities as contributors to society on their own terms, a narrative that resonates in an era where royal relevance is increasingly tied to impact rather than pedigree alone. It's also worth noting the possible influence on their immediate families. Beatrice's husband and daughter, and Eugenie's husband and children, will also be part of how this chapter unfolds. Their personal networks and family lives may provide strength and perspective, grounding the princesses in commitments that transcend headline news. Moreover, there is the matter of constitutional and institutional distance. Beatrice and Eugenie are not in the line of succession that dictates daily state functions or ceremonial duties in the way that senior royals are. This structural reality means that the monarchy's institutional reactions, decisions about patronages, residences, security, or public roles, are less likely to pivot directly because of their father's situation. For constitutional watchers, this is not just about personal fate but about how an institution manages the boundaries between family and institution. In a modern monarchy, those boundaries have become clearer and more rigid, precisely to avoid the entire institution being embroiled in individual controversies. Of course, no forecast is certain. Public sentiment can shift, political winds can change, and at the heart of it all are two women whose lives have already been shaped by extraordinary pressures. They may choose paths that surprise us, whether stepping back further from public life, embracing new public roles, or redefining what it means to be a modern princess in the 21st century. But there's a thread that runs through their story so far: resilience. Beatrice and Eugenie have weathered intense media scrutiny, personal family challenges, and the ever-present balance between public duty and private life. That resilience will be tested once again in the coming months, but it may also be what carries them forward with dignity and purpose. In the broader context of the monarchy's evolution, their futures may not be defined by their father's arrest but by how they choose to shape their own chapters. A smaller monarchy doesn't mean smaller lives. It may mean lives lived with greater agency, freedom, and richness, built on personal goals rather than inherited roles. For many observers, the question isn't just what happens to Beatrice and Eugenie after Prince Andrew's arrest, it's what they choose to make happen for themselves. And on that front, their track record suggests they won't be defined by circumstance but by conviction.